Again, hi everyone, and welcome back to our Supermom Volunteer Training Series. I'm so glad to see so many familiar faces from our first session, and a warm welcome to anyone joining us from the first time here tonight. This evening, we'll focus on storytelling in media, how to share your voice in a powerful way that you can reach your community and decision makers and the public. So before we dive in, just a quick reminder of our community norms. So we're going to stay on mute unless you're speaking. Please tell us once again what your name is, preferred pronouns, and where you're from in the chat. And also, please use the chat and comment section for any questions that you may have at any time throughout this presentation. And also, we're going to respect everyone's experience here. Everyone has a story that has value. So we're going to make sure that we save space for folks to do that. Here on our agenda tonight, Sam will walk us through the basics of storytelling. Then we'll pause for an activity where you'll begin drafting your own story. Next, I'll hand it over to our special guest, Sarah, who is the Senior Communications Specialist at Moms Clean Air Force, and she will share some insider tips on the working the media. And after that, Sam will touch on testifying and public comments. And then finally, we'll close with questions and answers and a wonderful story time project that we'll do together. So now I will turn it over to Sam to kick us off.
Thanks, Elizabeth. We're super excited to have all of you here. Thanks for that agenda and thanks for joining as well, Sarah. We're excited for you to teach everyone a thing or two. But just to start us off, I wanted to frame the conversation a little bit around the importance of storytelling and advocacy. I think often when we're talking about climate and clean air and all of these different issues that we all care so much about, we talk a lot about statistics and facts and science and laws and all of that sort of thing. And obviously, those are really important. But what's also important is your story and why you personally care, why your community cares, and also why lawmakers and decision makers care. So, how can we appeal to the real people in them to make sure that they're hearing our stories and hearing and understanding why we care so much about these issues? Because ultimately, we have to motivate them to take action. And we have to motivate the folks in our own community to take action as well. So, just wanted to pose a couple of questions to start us off tonight. But why is it important that we share stories of impacted citizens? Does anyone want to jump in the chat or raise their hand in terms of any reasons why this is important or they feel it's important or why you joined today that I didn't cover already? The next question that we wanted to pose to the group is if you've heard any particularly powerful stories about climate impacts that moved you to act. Maybe there was something that you heard that really changed the game for you and made you care much more about climate. Does anything come to mind for anyone? Yeah, Elizabeth, Detroit, and the air quality there, and your child having asthma. I know you guys suffer a lot with the wildfire smoke that comes through as well. Yeah, so I just wanted to pose this question because I think it shows that these stories do stay with people. I know one that stays with me is that our one of my old coworkers, she lives in Arizona, and when it gets really hot out in the summer, she has to wear oven mitts when she goes outside and touches the handrails or touches anything because the sun just has heated them up so much that they burn your skin, which is a really crazy imagery to think about and to picture and really sticks in your head. Yeah, outdoor workers in Florida, that is such an important one too, and obviously really intersectional with so many of the issues that we're facing in society right now. Thanks for participating, everyone. So the main focus of today is we want to help everyone learn how to share your own story. I think that's really the sweet spot and the power of Moms Clean Air Force is empowering people like you, people like us, to share your own story at every level of government, at every type of decision-making hearing, in the media, like what Sarah's going to talk about, but really making sure that we're amplifying people's lived experiences and stories so that other folks can relate to them and ultimately are moved to action. So these are just a couple of the questions to get you to start thinking about this. So this is, again, going to be really interactive. If you can pull out a piece of paper and a pencil or just a Word document, whatever it may be, I just want everyone to start thinking about, again, why do you care about climate change and clean air? Did you have an epiphany at a certain point in time? Has it already affected you? Has it affected your community, your future, your kids? What are the things that come to mind when you think about climate change and clean air? Another big question to think about is how extreme weather has impacted you or your loved ones. Do you worry about extreme weather impacting your future? Things even like our homeowners insurance plays a huge role in determining obviously the cost of living and the affordability of things. And ultimately, extreme weather plays a huge role in the cost of that. So, and the future coverage that people have as well. Obviously, homeowners insurance is getting even harder to acquire in states with a lot of extreme weather. So start jotting down, have you experienced wildfires, air pollution, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes? Obviously, this may bring back some, really hard memories, but it's really important that we're all confident and able to share our stories and make sure that other folks are understanding the real life impacts that this is having, because unfortunately, these things are only going to get more common unless we mobilize people to act. And sometimes it takes hearing a story like theirs in order to compel them to act. So, mental health implications are really real as well. Eco-anxiety, droughts, extreme heat was across the country this summer and probably will be for many summers to come. Another thing to think about is if there are things in your life that you're already doing to take action. Are you trying not to use plastic water bottles because you know that plastic comes from petrochemicals, which comes from fossil fuels? Are you committed to using your reusable water bottle? What are the small actions that you're doing to fight climate change? These are all parts of your story. So just start jotting down anything that comes to your mind, and will help shape this narrative throughout the evening. Um, does anyone want to share any thoughts that have come up for them? Cost of an inhaler. That's a really, really impactful one, Elizabeth.
Yeah, and folks are also commenting about property insurance rates going up,
Yeah.
droughts that are happening, that are pretty scary. I can relate to that too, my friend in Ohio, um, being in Michigan and going through a drought right now. Yeah, lots of great stuff. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for your vulnerability, everyone, and thanks for being willing to think about these things and share them with us. Um, I'll move on to some examples just to continue getting the juices flowing, but that was just a little bit of a primer. We're going to ask you after today to input your story. You're going to formulate it a little bit more and come up with a real narrative around it. And then we're going to ask you to write that down and share it with us. And we will, um, read through those and match them with opportunities that come to us. So often, Sarah gets media requests around a specific topic, or they're looking for a spokesperson that can talk about, let's say, electric school buses or droughts or things like that. So we want to be able to make sure that our volunteers are getting the opportunities to share their stories as widely as possible. And we need to know what stories folks have in order to do that. But just wanted to share a few storytelling examples. These are just really boiled down short stories about what people are experiencing. And these are ultimately what they submitted to the US Environmental Protection Agency when we were trying to fight back against a deregulation, um, which was on the endangerment finding. But just to share a few of these, so in 2024, Las Vegas endured 7 consecutive days with over 115-degree temperatures, and nearly 500 Nevadans lost their lives due to heat-related causes. So we see how this is something that Mary experienced, she witnessed. She also put statistics in it. So that's a big part of sharing your story is, the personalizing it and also having facts that back it up. Another one from Janie in Wisconsin. Every day I have to take extra precautions for my daughter living with multiple sclerosis, as research suggests ground level ozone caused by high temperatures can trigger flares and increase the risk of MS. Again, a really, really personal, vulnerable story. It's really hard for her to tell this every time, but she's really powerful when she does. From Candy in West Virginia, as a social worker, I know the rise in the number and severity of floods exacerbated by climate change disproportionately affects low-income families. Yeah, so this is talking about the sort of broader implications of these floods and how that affects real people. In Iowa, we keep experiencing ever increasing severe storms. I'm often filled with anguish when I think about what my daughter's lives will be like, from Corrine in Iowa. So these are some really just top top of mind stories for us. Does anyone want to share how these stories made them feel? Did it make you think of anything in your life? Yeah, David sharing a story. David, that's really impactful, remembering visiting Beijing on a school trip and stepping out and thinking you're going to suffocate. That's incredibly jarring. Obviously, um, air pollution in the United States has come a long way because of the Clean Air Act, but we have a long way to go. And with increasing wildfires, we have a long fight ahead. Yeah. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely more effective to hear how people are affected. Um, okay. Oh, so, I also wanted to share a little example, again, just to keep the juices flowing. These are from our Kids Clean Air Force members. So, some of our youngest advocates, they already know how to share their story, and obviously it's extra compelling because they're very cute and kids, but kids can be really compelling storytellers as well. And we always try to focus on making sure that kids are telling their own stories. We don't want to put words in their mouth. And often they already know a lot more about climate change and clean air than we might expect. And so helping them have a vehicle to communicate that can be really powerful. So I will let everyone watch this. But again, this is just a reminder that anyone can share their story, and it can be really effective.
My name is Vic.
Can
And my
everyone
name
hear
is
it?
Kelly. We're 9, 12, and
Great.
we're from Maryland. We want the EPA to preserve the endangerment fund to protect our health and future from climate change. Earlier this month, our town flooded with 5 inches of rain all at once, and our basement flooded. I even saw a car face down in the water and someone had to be rescued. It was really scary. Our generation is expected to live through 3 times more climate disasters than our grandparents. EPA, do your job to protect us. Protect the endangerment finding.
Yeah, so that's one that they ultimately submitted to the EPA, like they said, on the endangerment finding, which is the EPA's foundation for their ability to regulate climate emissions. So the Trump administration is on a deregulation agenda trying to roll that back and get rid of the endangerment finding, which is crucial to making sure that EPA can properly regulate emissions.